So as you guys were coming in, we asked that you completed a poll. Unfortunately, it only holds 50 people. There's a little bit more than 50 people. So this is our sample population is 50 random first people that got here. So we have 56 people have used their course templates in their course development, and we have about 44% of people not using them. So it's about even, right? Go ahead, next slide. Sorry, just got to get to the slides here. So we're from the University of North Florida. Today you guys are at the top-notch templates, your secret weapon in successfully meeting QM standards, right? So after today, no problem with QM. It's going to be easy breeze, right? So my name's Justin Lerman. I'm the coordinator of online learning training over at the University of North Florida. We're just going to introduce ourselves real quick.
Hi guys, I'm Allison Archer. I was formerly a high school teacher, and now I'm an instructional designer at UNF.
Hello, my name is Rozy Parlette. I was also formerly a teacher, and now I'm an instructional designer as well.
And to keep going with that pattern, my name is Megan Bracewell. I'm at UNF as well, and I was a former middle school teacher and now an instructional designer. Thank you all for coming today.
Awesome. So today's presentation link is right here at the bottom. I think it'll be posted on Canvas's site as well. At the end, we'll have some contact information. Hit us up. We'll hook you up with the course templates. You guys will be happy. All right. So what are we doing? Not that. All right. On the docket, considering the benefits of templates. Okay, we're going to talk about why we're using templates, what benefits they've given us, measuring up to the QM standards, how they've helped us get really great acceptance rates when we do QM reviews, exploring our online course templates. We're actually going to jump into each of our course templates. We have 4 of them, and you guys will be able to take a look, ask questions. We'll go from there. Yep, I did. Again, presentation link down at the bottom. Cool.
That's me, right? Yep. Okay. All right, so first up, let's consider why we actually use templates and why we promote the use of templates amongst our faculty. Just for bare bones, basic need here, the truth is, if you had to reconceptualize a course, what it looks like, how it's going to function, how people can navigate it every single time you build a course, it's going to take way too much of your time. That's your time as an instructor and/or your time as an instructional designer. So we promote the use of templates because it is a really great way to kickstart development. Instead of reconceptualizing what we want the course to look like, we already have a couple options that we know hold up to QM standards, that we know will help drive the development of a high-quality course. Also, these templates are going to scaffold design decisions and allow the faculty to concentrate more so on content. So not all of us can be experts in course design, and that's okay. That's why we construct these templates so that anyone can hop in them, and they're a really user-friendly tool to be able to build out a course quickly, easily, and to be able to emphasize your great content as an instructor. Lastly, as you'll see in our templates, we do promote our university resources in them, especially on our help support page in our Start Here modules. We promote academic and student support services, DL support services, tech support, and library resources that we have on campus. So this is a great way to advertise those resources as well.
Okay, so we built our templates, and then we wanted to look at how do they measure up to the QM standards. So what we did is we created a QM standards matrix, which I'm going to take us to. Everyone see it? Make it a little bit bigger. Can you hold that? Thank you.
If you email us after the presentation, we can email this to you as well.
Right.
So, yeah, no one can see this.
I don't know how to like.
We'll have some contact information up at the end.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay. So if you look, we have each QM standard listed. And then we took each template and we added a notation for where and how in the template that standard was met. So just for instance, if we look at standard 1, instructions make clear how to get started and where to find various course components. So if we look at template B, for instance, we can see that the Start Here link on the home page and the Start Here module contains instructions that will help students get started. If we just scroll down a little bit more, all of these elements are already in the template. We don't have to think about it at all. So if we were to look at another one, 1.7, minimum technical skills are expected of the learner are clearly stated. So if we look at template A, the Start Here module, the course overview page, contains the minimum technical requirements that the students will need. As I scroll down, you can see that there are some missing spaces. These standards relate to content. Obviously, each course is different and each instructor is going to have different content. So if we look at 2.1, that applies to the learning objectives, we're not going to have any notation on that. This allows us to really focus, as Megan said, on the content. We don't have to think about, do we have some orientation for the student? Do we have a way for them to get started? If I continue on down, I'm not going to go through all of these because there's obviously a lot of them. If we look at 3.2, course information specifies how successful completion of the course will be recognized. Recognized, excuse me, I'm sorry. The syllabus file and course grades and final sections. So for template A, that's there. For each standard, there is something except that what relates to content. So all of these elements are met, except, like I said, for content. We go ahead and go on through. So again, this allows us to really focus when we meet with the faculty on how we can make their course better, how we can help them work on creating assessments that align with the learning objectives, how we can make a strong link between the technical resources in the course and how they align with the instructional materials. So we know that each template contains these different elements that will ensure that when it's time to go through QM review, it will pass. All right, I'm going to go back to the presentation.
Sorry, if you don't mind just holding your questions till the end in case we happen to answer it, if you just jot it down and then we'll be sure to get to it. But was it something really quick about?
Are you guys doing the QM reviews yourselves?
We are doing some internal and then some go on to national review, yes. Okay, let's see. So one more thing I wanted to say about the templates is that they're really great because the students get familiar with the navigation of a template, and so that's a huge benefit because if you have 500 different instructors with 500 different layouts, that can be really confusing for the students, and that's an additional learning curve. So the templates are really great. We have some programs that will adopt. We have 5 templates, A, B, C, D, and E, and we have some programs that will all agree to adopt, like maybe the business school, all agree to adopt template A, and it makes it really seamless for their students to hop in and out of courses and be familiar with where to find the resources and the content that they need. Okay, so on our team's webpage, we have a couple of different ways to access these templates, and it depends on who you are accessing them. So, and then we also break down on our website, I'll go ahead and show you. We have a chart, and we'll blow that up for you. Oh, sorry, I'm loud. Okay, so this chart is kind of a quick reference, and it's the differences between the templates. We're going to hop into each of them and show you the differences. And then I know I skipped over that last slide, but don't worry. We're going to tell you how you, on the next slide, I'll tell you how you can gain access to these. We are going to share the course cartridge with you, and you'll be able to download it as a Google file, and then you can upload it into your instance of Canvas. For faculty, though, it's really nice because from the website, they can explore a live preview, and it'll just prompt them to log in with their single sign-on credentials for our university, or if they're already logged in, then they can just go into a live preview and not have to have the course added to their course listings so they don't have all 5 templates if they make a decision that they just want to use one of the templates. Also, I wanted to show that we use the Canvas Commons to distribute these as well, because this is really a great way, because if we make updates, then they're updating the most current version. So say there's some help link that's changed or some information about the library that's changed that we have on a help support page, then we can just change it in the Commons, and then they'll download they'll import the most up-to-date version from the Commons. And we also have individual pages. So for example, I'll go in and show you that each of the templates has a midterm survey. So say you already downloaded the template, you somehow deleted the midterm survey, or you already have your own course design, but you just want to pull the midterm survey from one of the templates, just one piece from the template, not the whole template over your course. We have that hashed out as well in the Commons area, so you can find just pieces of the templates if you're looking for that. But I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Justin to share with you the first template, Template A.
Fantastic. So you're probably wondering, how do we push all these templates before I even talk about the templates? So we have lots of Canvas trainings that we do, throughout the year, each semester, and at every one of those trainings, we're pretty much, take a look at these templates, and then all the faculty are like, whoa, you guys did all this work? Why, let me not redo all of it. And then they get interested, and then they tell their other faculties about it. But at trainings, it's really a great spot to just push the template, right? So this is the traditional template. This is the Course A template. It sounds like a sandwich, the traditional. But it's the template that most faculty like. It's our first template that we rolled out. We have a spot, for their course banner right up here. We've added links right here. It's very similar from the side. We have welcoming information, some objective information. We ask that a lot of our instructors build course introduction videos, so they can put their link to that video right there. Spot for them to put their picture, office hour information. All they really have to do is come into the template, edit it, and they're done. Textbook information down at the bottom. So that's the home page. It's just a page on Canvas that we've set as the home page, right? And then over here in the modules area, if I click on modules, what we've done here is we've created like a Start Here module. So that has, and I'll pull into it real quick, some course overview information. And again, obviously you can't read it from where you're sitting, but you can go into them from our website. So we have assignments and grades and feedback. Obviously, each teacher has their own rules and things when they go into their classroom, but all that the instructor really has to do is come in here and edit it, right? So it's a lot quicker than having to start it from scratch. Strategies for success, and then what do we go to? We go to communication and etiquettes, do's and don'ts of discussion boards. All these items are a lot of QM items, right, that are being covered. The instructor doesn't have to think about it, and they're going to pass, hopefully, if they don't edit it and remove it. And they're like, I don't like any of that, right? Does that ever happen? Well, one-offs here or there. You got to talk to them, be like, it's good practice, right? Yeah, it's all right there. And then they're like, don't like any of it, right? All right. Then we got Let's Get Started, and then from there, I believe it goes straight into the modules. So, the student orientation quiz. So, did you read the syllabus and all that other good stuff, right? And an introduce yourself discussion forum. All right. So then you'll notice that, I'm going to just go back to the modules page. You'll notice that we have a couple modules inside the course template. And again, if the instructor doesn't want all this in their course, they just select, I just want the front page. Then they could just have the front page when they get the course template, right? So over here, we have, we use content overview pages for each of the modules. They put their objectives there, what the students are, what they have to do for that week in each of those. And they're awesome. It just takes a lot of work when you're moving a course that has not used the template to using the template, because then they don't have these content overview pages and all their objectives. So it takes a lot of time, right? Yeah? I think we're going to show you guys template B now. I'll let you navigate there.
Okay, thanks, Justin. Yeah, so for template A, all of the content is on one overview page. Also, it's really nice now that Canvas has the duplicate pages thing, because if they want to add, everyone has more than 3 modules normally, so they can just duplicate these module overview pages now, so that's cool. So thank you guys for that. Okay, so template B is set up a little bit different, and it uses the CityLab design tools, you'll notice, which are awesome if you know how to use them. And if you're, I wouldn't recommend pushing it out to maybe a beginner faculty who doesn't know how to use them, because they could just get lost in them. But it does make for a pretty, with the icons and everything. So notice that this page doesn't have as much on the home page. It doesn't have the course information and the instructor information. It just it's kind of like a launch pad. We still have a place for the banner and the course number, but it's a launch pad to different areas within the course. You'll also notice that the navigation menu is laid out a little bit differently, so it prioritizes grades, which is like the #1 place that students hit, right? And then the syllabus area is a little bit different. So back to template A, the syllabus area is made to just link in a Word document, and then the students can use the doc viewer to look at it or print it. Whereas template B is for instructors that may want to just edit it in line, and so they're not having to, edit in Microsoft Word and then save and then replace in the files. So this is just if they want to click edit and use a page editing tool. This also uses design tools, I believe. And then the modules, we call it the multi-page module. So the course overview, it looks a little bit bigger, but it's just divided into smaller parts, so it's more pages, but it's the same content. I'll click through so you can see the use of the design tools, and it's just chunked into smaller chunks. And so, but again, covers the same information. The first 2 pages of this Start Here module are all of that information that was on the front page of template A. So the course overview, the instructor information, and then it goes into the same information about expectations, technology, netiquette, and all of that. And then the module areas is, again, multi-page modules. So instead of just one course overview page, it's broken down into purpose and learning objectives on the overview. And then the content, activities, and assessments are all on different pages. So this might be for if you want students to have the experience of clicking through a module and learning that way. And again, you'll be able to have access to these to explore. And then also, all of these include... So this one, we've created all of the modules for you. So instead of creating more pages, you would just delete. And then all of them include a midterm survey. So I'll let Rozy go over template C.
Thank you. All right, so template C, like template B, has the landing page where you can go to different parts in the course. So if we click on Start Here, the students go to a basic course information page. This has information about the instructor. It has their contact information, their introduction, links to the syllabus and schedule, required materials. There are no course learning objectives listed on this page. If we go into the modules section, this Start Here module has a lot of pages. The pages are actually broken down into the different topics. So if we go into... I was just there. If we go to, there's a page for the course overview, prerequisites, and structure, and these are all QM standards. If to meet QM, you have to put the prerequisites for the course. So there's a page for these, and then they would scroll through. In developing this, I thought it might be better for the students to scroll through each page to kind of ensure that they're reading. I felt like if we kind of listed everything on one page, students might not read everything, so at least you know they are clicking through. So we have information about communication, assignments and grades, and feedback, which is also a QM standard, the technology requirements. This is another QM standard that needs to be met. So all of these pages, and then our help support page, which is very robust. It has our academic and support services listed right there, any technical support, the privacy policies and technical and accessibility policies, that's a requirement for QM, so those are also listed right there. So the students would just scroll through each page, and each page is a separate topic rather than having them all listed kind of together. This template is a unit-based template, so it's for courses that may have modules that contain more than 1 week. So if we go into Module 1, this would be the Module 1 overview, and it contains the purpose statement and the learning outcomes for that module. And then the next week would be, so we go into week 1, and then it would have the agenda items for week 1. What they're going to read or view or watch would all be listed there. And then there's also a part for additional resources, which is another QM standard. The students need to know what's optional and what's required. If I go back to the modules, There's 2 sample assignments in here that are set up to meet QM standards. So there's a discussion board. It has a purpose statement, and it has the learning objectives that the assessment would meet, or the students would meet by completing the assessment, and then the instructions and the grading criteria where the instructor could write a narrative about how the students would be graded, and then also link to a rubric. And same thing there's a sample assignment in here as well. And this again has the purpose statement, the learning objectives, and then there is a sample rubric there. So instructors can kind of see what it should look like. All right, and now Megan is going to talk to you about template D and E.
All right, so one thing you will notice throughout all of these is that they do share a lot of the same essential information, or they at least structure for the development of it. Another item that we use pretty frequently, I'll hop right into the modules here, is that we will use the prerequisites and requirement settings inside the module in order to lock down the information. We find it is a best practice, especially for students who may be brand new to the online learning environment, that they go through this Start Here module or the course introduction module. We want them to know, the do's and don'ts of how to speak to people in an online setting. We want them to know that if you email your instructor, you may not receive a response in 30 minutes, and that's okay. But we want to put forth those expectations, and we want to make sure that they read them, they can respond correctly to questions about them, and then once they have scored a 100% on their orientation quiz, and once they have submitted an introduction post to the discussion forum, then the rest of the modules can unlock, and they can further access content from there. So let me pop back into the home page. As you see, this is a pretty similar setup to the original course template A that Justin demonstrated. Again, sharing very similar essential course information. We'll click the Start Here link, and that'll throw us right into the modules area. Again, very similar setup for the Start Here module. We've got our course overview, communication etiquette, help support page. Again, just to pop back in here, this is a great asset to have, and I can't encourage you enough to set up one of these for your own institutions. Just being able to advertise these great resources in and around your campus can be very, very helpful to students who may have not even known they had existed in the first place. So this is an excellent resource here that would require a bit of work on your part to customize it and make sure the links are accurate for your institution, but we really value this resource, and even when instructors aren't interested in templates at all, we still advise them to add this in because it's got such a great number of resources for students on here. And that's the idea, is that these templates not only are faculty driven, but they're for the students as well. We want to make navigation and ease of use in online classes appropriate for them as well. So hopping a little further down the modules page, you'll notice that this is kind of inspired more so by my background in K-12. A lot of online teachers will decide to do one module per week, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that. But for me, the way I always thought of designing a course was that you would create a unit or a module, and there would be multiple weeks within that module. Of course, that comes straight out of middle school, right? So that's not always appropriate for the college level, but it does give another alternative for how you could design a course. Again, we've got a module overview page here, and this is going to introduce the summary and purpose of the module, the objectives, and any assignments and assessments that are due. Then we break it down into weekly content pages where you could post any links to readings, videos, slideshows, assignments. And then, of course, we have sample assignments and discussion boards built out. Those also include the rubrics as well, again, showcasing some of those best practices. Now, the last one I want to show you here is template E. So this is a very streamlined template. In fact, you're not landing on one of those beautifully designed home pages. Instead, you're hopping right into the modules area. And this is great for hybrid and blended courses or for face-to-face courses that want to use an online area as a repository. So this is, again, a very streamlined version of what we've been showing. We still have a Start Here module, but then after that, you see the weeks are broken down a bit differently. Our overview page, it still encourages instructors to post the summary, purpose, objectives, content, and assignments assessments. But of course, as an instructor, if you're doing a face-to-face course and you're presenting this information in class, in person, you may not want to keep that online. And then from there, we go through and we encourage instructors to organize all of their content within the module. So it may not be beautifully done on a page, but if you're a beginner in Canvas or if you're developing your course as you teach it, this would be a great way to be able to hop in, add a link to a slideshow, add a 5-question checkpoint quiz, add a quick assignment without having to do too much organization or editing. All right, so I'll pass it on over to Allison to wrap us up.
All right, so how to gain access, if you haven't already figured it out. So I normally, to get to this page, just do a Google search for UNF CIRT. It's CIRT, the Center for Instruction and Research Technology, online course templates. So UNF CIRT, online course templates, and then you should find this in one of the top search results. And then you'll find an overview of what we've said here. The breakdown of what's the differences between the template in case you didn't catch all of it. And then you aren't going to be able to explore the live preview, but you will be able to download and import into the course cartridge. I see some people taking pictures. I'll go to this slide. This slide might be helpful for photos. So here's the instructions. And then you're going to import the content like you normally would in the Canvas course settings. It's going to be a Canvas course export package. All right.
Cool. All right. So before we wrap it up and we take questions, on? Hey, yeah. Before we wrap it up and take questions, if everything went through one year and out the other year, I think the most important takeaway from this is probably the easier you make it for your faculty, the better chance they are going to have for passing QM the first time around, right? So give them everything, and hopefully it'll work out a little bit better than it sometimes does. All right. So this is our contact information up here. Feel free to email us if you're having trouble getting access to anything. And I think we just have plenty of time for questions since we don't waste time here. So we'll start right here.
So if we get to download your templates, which is awesome, thank you. How do we attribute it to you? Or how does that work as far as saying, hey, I didn't come up with this on my own?
That is a darn good question. Never been asked that one before. That's what happens when you get famous, I guess, right? Yeah. So if you just send $100 to... No, maybe in the help and support, just give us a nice shout out to the University of North Florida. What do you guys think? Sound about right? Yeah? People in this room know way more about this than us. We definitely should. So if you are interested in using it, why don't you send us an email? Great idea. And we'll get back to you on how you can use it correctly. Yeah, not the fake $100 way.
The templates that you're using use City Labs, correct? For some of them, if you import those into our system, will the templates from City Labs carry over, and even though we don't have City Labs app?
Do you have City Labs? She doesn't have it. It's working.
Oh, excellent.
The only problem with that, though, is I would say if you need to edit it, it's going to be a problem, right? It's going to be a huge problem.
I put two of them into one, and I said I wanted to delete the course, and it's not letting me.
Yeah. So check out City Labs, though. It's pretty sweet. Yeah. And then you can just pass it to her when you're done.
So I love the different templates you've designed. I think you're making it easy for faculty. If you've got these 4 or 5 templates, have you gotten reactions from students as to which format they prefer?
Maybe not. There it is? Yep, okay. Yeah, just to clarify on the last question, templates B and C are the only ones that have the design tools in them. So A, D, and E do not, just to clarify. But also, as far as students' favorites, we find that we have I want to say maybe a 98 or a 99% approval rating of positive feedback with the feedback we've received from surveys with template A. Since that is the first one we developed, we certainly have more feedback on that. But another item we alluded to as well is that as a department, we also do programmatic course development. So there are programs who have adopted template A and stuck to that design, and they've received positive feedback from their cohorts online. We also have other programs that work with us to custom design templates for them. And so typically what we find is the templates we offer are pretty neatly organized, and they provide directives on where to get started and where to find content. And at the end of the day, that's what students want. They want it easy. They want to know where to go and where to find what they need. So that's what we promote. Yeah.
I have two quick questions, I think. My first is, what drove the specifics of each template? And then the second is, how does the template include module setup as you're moving it from place to place?
Sure. So if you were to import a course cartridge off our UNF webpage, or if you were a UNF faculty and you imported this from Canvas Commons, what you'll find is that the settings in the module area will copy in exactly as we have them set in the templates. So even when I was talking about the prerequisites and requirements to lock down the content in modules as needed, that will actually copy over as well right into your course. So it's great. However we have set it up and shown you today, that's exactly what's going to be deposited into your course when you bring it in.
Do you ever find that when you've got these directives and instructions for people on how to work with a template, do you ever find that faculty leave those instructions in there? And so
check out my homepage.
and so do you guys then do the review afterwards and sort of clean some of that stuff up?
Yes, I have seen that. I've gone into some courses, and the faculty haven't changed some of the language that was in there. We don't really have the ability to go through every course that is using our template, because the faculty can download them off the website or pull them off of Commons. Definitely any of the faculty that we're working with, building courses for, we definitely go through and make sure that all of that language is specific to their course.
But it's had to have happened.
It definitely happens. I've seen it. It definitely happens. It definitely happens.
We'll come back.
So that brings me to a question about training. So how do you structure your training? Do you use these templates as a core as far as your training program with faculty who are new to Canvas?
So we do have did you want to take it? Oh, we do have like a Canvas 101 session. We have a whole faculty development model, and pretty much we're pushing these templates in all of our interactions with faculty. Yeah.
Just to piggyback off what Justin said, so the online course that we offer for faculty to take as a training for course development, it uses template A. And then also we have workshops that happen usually twice a semester that are on templates. That's basically what we've just presented to you. Yeah.
So I guess my final question is, so hypothetically, let's say I'm a new adjunct instructor. I've never used Canvas before. It's easy for me to just go ahead, and you don't have I have to take training before I gain access. They could just download the template and start using it without any proper training. Okay.
Just to clarify that as well, especially with new faculty, that is a group of people at our university that as a department we reach out to. And so you may be surprised, whether it's new adjuncts or new full-time faculty, they're not hopping into Canvas typically excited and searching for templates, right? Usually we're either reaching out to them and saying, hey, come to this event, or check out the faculty development offerings we have, or they wander in and say, I have to teach a course online in 2 weeks, and I've never been in Canvas, but someone told me you could help. And that's perfectly fine, because then they can go through the channel that is our ID team, and we can walk them through okay, what are your needs, and what template can we steer you towards? And now let's work together to make sure that we go through and add all the elements we need to add. So I would say they don't typically approach this first, but rather come through us to get there.
What's your success rate with a course that's nationally reviewed by QM using these templates?
Sure. So we do have a number of courses that we push to national review that have been nationally reviewed. We also have web pages on our website that will go through and list out all nationally reviewed and accepted courses. But we also have a large effort for internal review on campus. Our ID team does reviews as well as other members of our Center for Instruction and Research Technology. We also have a number of faculty who have gone through our faculty development offerings and programs, who have successfully completed them, and then give back to the distance learning community by providing those QM reviewing services as well.
Right, because if the alignment's not there, QM's not going to look at the course.
Absolutely, absolutely. Right. So it's great, too, to have faculty's eyes on these courses going into QM review, especially we're going to do the internal review before even considering the national. So it's great to have faculty's eyes on there as well, just to be able to look at the content and say, okay, this is on point for alignment, or maybe we need to reconsider this item. So that's a great option, too, that we have.
Are you guys a SARA school? And by SARA, meaning the State Authorization Reciprocity Agreement.
Yeah, Florida just got added in.
Yeah, because they add, there's additional requirements for SARA that you could put in your template, just by the way.
Oh, that would be great.
Sweet.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Yeah, that's excellent.
So many. We're coming.
So I'm just wondering, since we're switching over to Canvas now, if I'm, say, a faculty member who's been teaching for a while and I've never interacted with your center, how am I typically going to hear about the fact that these templates are available?
Sure. So there's numerous ways. I'll tell you that. We've done a lot of outreach. We recently migrated from Blackboard to Canvas LMS as well, which has overall been a very positive experience due to the outreach coming from our department. Okay. So our administrators are reaching out with email to all the faculty on campus with numerous reminders over the year that we migrated. That was a big piece of it, saying, come in to see our ID team. If you want your courses migrated, here are different options that you have for this course migration. In fact, my role when I first arrived a year ago was to take the courses that had special requests for migrations, and many of them were being imported into Canvas and then also being templatized as well. So we really have a number of different channels for how people come to the templates, but typically it's either from outreach from our department via email, or it's from coming into the ID team office and working with us one-on-one.
All right, guys, I think we're actually out of time right now. However, we're awesome, so we're actually going to chill right outside the door right there because I got another presentation coming in here to answer your questions. But thank you for coming, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.